Kyle, as it relates to zoning violations, we run into this problem all the time. So I have a property, it's in violation, and then you write me a ticket. And it gets noticed for a day to go to court, right, the pretrial or the formal hearing. Before I get there, I conveniently quitclaim sell it to Bill. So now Bill owns the property. Of course, I didn't tell him that the township's after him because I have a blighted house on it. And then what I do is I call Kyle up right before the hearing. I like to wait just like an hour before, too. Like, I don't want to call too early because I want to make sure the township attorney's still driving there, right? Then I call Kyle up, and I'm like, hey, Kyle, I don't own it anymore. What are you going to do?
So this is a frustrating scenario, and then also kind of somewhat comical scenario. So for civil infractions, for kind of zoning violations, they're not necessarily associated with the property. It's the person who possesses and controls the property. The problem here, though, is when you look for remedies, because a lot of these people, I'm sure, as you're all aware, a lot of the people with code enforcement problems, they don't necessarily fix their problems even after a judgment's entered. So you want some type of injunctive relief. And to get injunctive relief or putting a lien on the property, you generally want to go after the legal owner of the property. So what you can do is you can dismiss the tickets and enter new tickets against the new legal owner. I would hedge this, though, if they keep this quitclaiming, like, they play hot potato with the property. Eventually, you're just going to have to show up to court, and the judge will probably see through that, and you'll probably get some sort of relief that is helpful in that scenario.
And I think the other thing, too, because we've, so far, we haven't had to play hot potato with someone too long before the last person's holding the bag and we've got to court before they called us and said, I don't own it anymore. But potentially there are some other resolutions where you could get some affidavits recorded in the chain of title so that then even when the quitclaim deed goes, you basically put everybody on notice that we're, prosecuting this property. Because that's kind of the issue, right, with real property. It's that you've got a pending matter going on in court. It's got the parties' names on it, but it doesn't really tell you what property that relates to. So if I quitclaim to Bill, he really doesn't have any way to search other than if he were to go to the court, he'd have to then search my name and then see if my property's listed in violation. So there are also some ways that we could record some notices in the chain of title to try to then stop the person who's it's quitclaimed to from Bill coming in and saying, oh, well, now you got to delay the whole proceeding. I didn't have notice, et cetera, right? Because that's the worst, is dismissing your proceeding, starting the clock all over, and then going through attending court 2 times before you get somewhere.